Hey everybody, I'm Gunnar Simonson, and I'm a longtime friend of John and Marty and the Fisher family and the Catch. And it's an honor to be able to just take a few moments here and present to you just a little bit about what the Catch has meant to me in a real way. One of the sayings of the Catch over the last many years that has really deeply impacted me and has really become a set of lenses for me as I begin to not only navigate life, but I begin to really surrender and let the Lord have my heart is the term grace turned outward. And it is absolutely something that has just changed my life over the last many years. And of course, you can't give what you don't have. And as I began to learn grace myself and allow God to touch my heart and to receive His grace, boy, to be able to turn that around is just changed everything. Just this last night, I had just a tragic uh, thing happened in my life. One of our dogs, and of course, we had just lost our other dog, our oldest dog, about just not even 2 months ago. I had to race him into the clinic, and my wife had just been in an accident. She was in the hospital, and he was definitely going to go. And I said, you got to keep him alive long enough so I can try to get a hold of my wife on the phone, put her on the speakerphone, and have her say goodbye. And we were able to do that. I'm sitting there holding the phone up to the poor guy's ears, and meanwhile I'm watching them just pound on him, just trying to CPR. And we lost him, and we're just still reeling. Yesterday, our two other dogs kind of got at it a little bit, and the young dog, our smallest dog, Seika, which means smile, happy, was bleeding, was cut and bleeding, and so I ran him over to the same clinic, and as I gave them to them in the side door, I went into the lobby to wait. And 20 minutes later, they came to me. The nurse had come to me and said, I don't know how to say this, but somehow Seika ran out of the building and took off, and we've lost him, and have everybody on it looking for him now. And a few minutes later, they got him, and they're on their way back. Whew, man, I tell you, I was so relieved. I think they got him. They're going to bring him back, and I was anxious and couldn't wait to see his tail wagging and all that. And a few minutes later, they said, "Hey, room 5 is available. Come on back and wait." And then the owner of the clinic came out, and he said, "Here's what happened." And I don't even know what to say, but he ran about. It must have been about a mile. Ran down there, ran out in the street, was hit by a car, and hit by a car and banged up pretty bad, but he had a heartbeat. Then he paused and he looked at me and he says, "But we're doing CPR now." I just sunk him. I stood up and I'm like, how could this happen? And I threw my phone down and I started to cry. And he came back a few minutes later and said he didn't make it. I felt every emotion I could in my heart. How could this happen? How could they let such a thing happen? And he was devastated. He was the owner. He says, he says, you bring your dogs here to care for them and to take care of them. This is not supposed to happen. We failed you. And I just didn't have any words. I was broken. I went home and just sobbed, and I got up this morning and I knew that I had something to do. I had to send him an email. I had to go see him. I had to do something, and I had to let him know that, man, I forgive you. I know you did everything you could. And what grace turned outward has taught me is that moment this morning is that I had to send a message to that owner. I had to give him grace turned outward. And so I sent him an email, and the gist of it was, and I'll keep it between him and I, is that you're loved. And I was able to forgive, and I was able to give grace. Because God has given me grace. And I thank John and Marty and the Catch for teaching me that, being an example of that. So thank you.